Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this afternoon's webinar, which will be a presentation by Josh Ngoma, the SAIMM's president, and this will be on developing entrepreneurs. So to introduce Joshua a bit, Joshua is an engineer by profession and a serial business builder, business coach, and mentor. He's the founder and enabler of Enterprising Africa Region Network Proprietary Limited, and was formed with the overriding in a sustainable way. He holds a Bachelor of Engineering degree with honors in mining engineering from Cambon School of Mines in the UK, and a Master of Engineering in Project Management from Pretoria University in South Africa. He has spent about 3 decades of his career in the mining industry, of which half was building and running mining business ventures. He retired from mining in December 2012 and since focused much of his time on developing young African entrepreneurs, particularly in agriculture, to contribute towards food security while creating jobs and increasing levels of prosperity. So I'd like to welcome Joshua and our attendees. In case you have any questions, please do raise them in the Q&A. And if you have any comments, feel free to do so in the chat box. So once the presentation is over, you can engage and address some of the questions that you may have. Joshua, I'd like to give you the floor.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Joshua.
Okay. I'll share my presentation. Go there. Okay. Can you see that?
Yes, we can see the presentation.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So this is your afternoon, and I'm not going to bring a lot of jargon. All I'll be doing is just sharing with you what I know and what has worked for us. And because I'm dealing with the mining people, I would like also for you to see what's possible outside mining, because once we've been in mining, because of our nature in mining, we like solving problems a lot. When you go outside mining, you find that you can do almost anything. So the world opens up for you out there once you are in when you come from the mining field. So a good example is when I'll take you through our story, how we started here and how we are now into developing young entrepreneurs. As you rightly said, Kondwani, when I retired in 2012, we bought this in Centurion, and as you can see, it was a dry place. It used to flood because it's sloping from north to south and west to east, and the owner used to travel on top there. Coming from mining, you want to make sure that you solve that. So the first thing that we did was to make sure that we put the road in the roadway in the position, and so that we can. So what we did is we put in a machine, just the back actor, and we developed we dug into the solid ground, and we compacted and we tarmacked it. And by 2013, we finished the residence, and I looked at this place and we were saying, what are we going to do with this? And that's where the idea of, at the time we were looking at the country, had the high number of high level of unemployment, but the most affected were the youth, as it is the case now as well. So the idea was let's and so we looked at the areas that we should do, because this place has got no water, and we discovered later on that has got a lot of rock. and it was the only place that we had. We decided, let's see what we can do with it. And coming from mining, it was an easy thing to do, because all we did was to bring in machines, and we cut all the necessary trees, and we brought a 4x4 tractor with a big ripper, and we started removing all the rocks on the 21-acre farm, and we heaped in that, and by 2015 we had good ground. We didn't have water. We surveyed for water, and we drilled about 4 holes, and we found good water in 3 of them, and we fixed those, and from 2015 to 2016, the area that was not arable, suddenly we were able to produce a lot of food. And then we went, because we didn't have water, everything was drip irrigated, and we went undercover by 2017. And what we were seeing was something that a lot of people love, and so we increased the infrastructure, and now that's what we have. So what I'm trying to point out is that you have to deal with whatever you have, and that is much easier for people from mining background. And so having done that, we looked at what was happening, and we said, how can we solve the youth unemployment? And the issue we found was that you got a lot of people with the high levels of higher education, but they were roaming streets. So the issue I discovered then was that in order to solve these problems, we need to get the young people to start creating jobs for themselves. And so that's how this was created. So one of the things in life, if you want to achieve anything effectively, you have to have a mass transformative purpose. This was the same point by Ishmael, who founded the Open Expo, and who is the co-founder of Tigray University. And so you have, first of all, to have a strong, massive, transformative purpose. And what is this? What is that? Your MTP is your meaning in life, but it's more than that. It's massive, meaning that it's something that you're excited about, something that you want. It's so great to your life. It's transformative, meaning that it's going to change the world in a way that you will be proud of and all that you want to be. And it's purposeful, meaning that it's going to bring about purpose to the people that you target. It ignites that sort of emotional energy in you. So with an MTP, the MTP describes a better future for the world, but it doesn't specify how. It's not about you, it's not about your customers, your organization, your products or services. You're not in there. It's not a marketing slogan, but it's your North Star. So once you've got your MTP, it directs you to where you should be, and that no matter what happens, you anchor in one direction, and that's the direction that you want to take going forward. It might excite you or scare you, and sometimes it may catch you in the throat that it matters so much to you. You might never fully achieve it, because if your MTP is achievable within a short space of time, then it means that you've set the bar so low. Yet you're still working, it's still worth striving for. So a great MTP attracts the customers, the community partners, and resources that you need to get into the universe. So once you've got a very strong MTP, people will be attracted. That's what we've done within N. We found that we've got a lot of partners that have come to the fore wanting to participate in what we've started, because they can see that you've got a very strong MTP. So with an MTP, you do not do what you do in life. You don't do it necessarily for money, but because you want to make a positive impact on society and create a better world. And so when you've got a strong MTP, that's what might happen, and everything falls into place. So it is because of that I created Enterprising Africa Regional Network, and the MTP for EARN is developing the African youth into successful entrepreneurs that will to grow profitable and sustainable businesses to increase levels of employment and prosperity. And so that's our MTP, and that has kept us going for the past 7 years. And that's what we do every day. You wake up in the morning, that's what you want to do. It gives you that energy that you creating impact in the lives of a lot of people. And so the first thing we did in terms of wanting to develop entrepreneurs is to develop a step-by-step process, because I've been in business for a long time, from the time I was a kid, and you tend to do things automatically. But when people begin to ask you how things are done, you have to develop a process. So I developed the end process, which takes you through the process that you need to follow effectively in order for you to be a successful entrepreneur. And for this afternoon, I want to take you through everything, but I will take you through the business planning process. And even within there, I will just take just a few elements within there that we go through. But if you want to learn more, it's something that we can do outside this forum. So the first thing you have to understand is what business is about. If I was to ask Google, what do you think the purpose of business is? Google. Or Kondwani, what do you think the purpose of business is?
I would actually say is to serve the needs of the customer.
Yes, it's about people basically. It's about people who buy, your customer segment, and it's about the people who sell, which is your value proposition. So in order for you to be effective, the first thing you need to do is you need to understand your customer face. People say you should have an idea, but you cannot have an idea in a vacuum. You need to understand what are the needs in society and what are the pain points, and what solution can you provide. And but you may not have the answer. You normally have just assumptions. And so the only way that you can test that is by having a minimal viable product. So you have to produce a sample that you can test the market with. Because people say do market research, but market research on its own may not be as effective, because people are very polite. So if I say, do you like this pen? People may not want to offend you, and they'll say yes. And if you say, if I can produce so many of these, can you buy them for me? And they'll say yes. But now when you're about to produce them and you say, Kondwani, how many do you want to buy out of what I'm going to produce? And you say, oh, sorry, this is the wrong time. And that's because you really didn't like the pen that I was going to produce. So people can lie to you with their words, but they'll never lie to you with their wallet. The moment they take their wallet out, then you know that they're telling you the truth. And so using the minimal and using the channel, you test that market. And if the market can pay for it, then you know that you found the solution. Now, using your customer relations, you can now bring more of those customers to your value proposition, and you grow that market. And as long as you deliver value, they will pay you and you get revenue. And that's the total business. So, but in order for you to deliver that value proposition to the marketplace, you need to have key resources, and the resources include material resources, human resources, IT, and the like, in order for you to carry the key activities to deliver the value proposition to the marketplace. But you cannot do it on your own. You need key partners that have got some of the key resources and can carry out some of the key activities in order to deliver the value proposition to the marketplace. That determines your cost structure. So you want to make sure that your revenue is as high as possible and your cost as low as possible in order for you to have a sustainable business. So that's customer segment, that's number one. Value proposition is number two. Channel is number three. Customer relations is number four. Revenue is number five. The key resources is number six. Key activities is number seven. Key partners is number 8, and a capital structure is the number 9. Usually when you ask people why they cannot go into business, if anyone can answer this, what do they say is the biggest constraint? Anyone?
Most cases.
Just repeat the question.
Chepi, what do you think is the biggest constraint that the people use as an excuse why they can't go into business?
Lack of capital.
Lack of capital. Now let's look at what I was just showing you here. Where is capital here? Which number is it? What number is the capital? Because capital is one of the key resources, and key resources is number 1.
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute. I've been responding to you on mute.
The key resources is number 1.
Yep.
What number is key resources?
Kondani, can you assist me? It's a bit blurry on my screen here.
Okay. Let's see, get to Albert. What number is key resources?
Number 6, Joshua.
Number 6, that's correct. Now you see, people are worrying about number 6. You haven't dealt with number 1, number 5. And that's where the problem is most of the time, because the number 6 then it blocks your things. Whereas if you understand your customer and you understand your value proposition, and you know how you can deliver that value proposition to your customer, and you can attract more people to you, and because of that you can get revenue, a lot of people are going to give you the money, because there are a lot of people there with a lot of money and they are looking for good projects, good businesses. But the problem is we go out there looking for money before we even deal with the front end. So this is your what you have. This thing has fallen. Let me just get out of this. Okay. So that's your front end and that's your back end, and everyone sees the front end and you only see the back end. And so you need to make sure that you fix the front end first. Once you fix that, everything else in the back end will fall in place. And people will be chasing you with money if you fix the front end. And that's a very important thing. So that's the first thing that we look at when we are looking at the developing entrepreneurs, is to get them, orientate them so they understand how to get to finish from number 1 to number 5 before they can look at the back end. And so with that, again, we developed an evaluation and monitoring tool, because when you are operating now, you need to see how you are performing. So one of them is the dashboard reporting that we have derived from the end process. And at a glance, we got a series of questions about your business. Out of that, we can see immediately where you got issues. For instance, this is one of our clients. We can see immediately here that the finance and administration is a problem. And when we got other tools that we use as well, which some of them are off the shelf, but they all feed into this. And so if we look at the performance, KPIs, you find that when here we can see that finance is a problem, and you can see it here as well on the key performance perspectives, that out of 45, this client has got only 11 items on track. So we need now to start, it helps us to go delve into the business and look at how we can fix all those areas. And as you fix them, you find that those numbers begin to go up as well. And we also see that the next problem this person has is human resource management. And of course, if you cannot manage resources properly, your business won't operate. So we understand immediately why this person has got a problem. And using this, we use as a gap analysis, and we can look at how we can assist this. So that's the first thing you look at, is on the technical aspects of business. But now we need to start now looking at we need to come back and look at the human being that is running the business. And because you have to have the right attitude and aptitude for business. Just understanding how business is run is not good enough. And so we look at the person involved as well. So if we look at that, you find that a lot of educated people fail to succeed in business, and one of them is that the entrepreneurship is a state of mind. So you can be working for someone else, but you can have entrepreneurship. For instance, when I was working myself, I always regarded my employers as my clients, and that I did that throughout my life. So whether I was in my own business or working for someone else, I still regarded them as my clients. And because of that, you are able to deliver higher value, and the chances of promotability also were very high. When you are in your own business, you find that the chances of failure are remote. So you have to have an entrepreneurial state of mind at all times, whether you're working for someone else or not, because that's what is going to help you succeed. The second thing is our education system. Robert Kiyosaki once said that the school system was designed to teach you to be an employee, such as a doctor or lawyer or specialist, but it never taught you about money. It doesn't teach you about entrepreneurship, and that's a problem with our education system. The second thing is that our current education system, because of, and the reason for that is that our current education system is deficient because it's based on rote learning. And rote learning is the process of memorizing in order to be able to remember material. But as a result, students don't learn how to think critically, analyze, or solve real-world problems. That's why you find that as a kid, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, you are very creative. By the time you get to university, all that creativity is gone. And you need to unlearn everything that you learned when you were going through your education system in order for you to be an effective entrepreneur. The second thing is that the initial evolution of our minds, because our minds were, they evolved during a world of absolute scarcity. And because of that, most people are trapped in this unhealthy scarcity mindset. So we go in the world with that scarcity mindset. That's why you find that the people seem to be selfish. During the COVID period, you find that people, instead of looking at how we can save everyone else, they were looking at how we can steal from what we have currently. And that's because you're coming from that scarcity mindset. So if we look at our brain, it has got two imaginary muscles. You've got the vision muscle that you use for the future, and the memory muscle that you use for the past event. And so the memory muscle is what we use a lot during the formal educational period, and the vision muscle is what we use for entrepreneurship. So if we look at the difference between the two, is that if we, from reception, you got someone in front of you, they tell you what to do, and you do what they tell you to do. And so what you do is you develop dependency. That's why when you finish college, the first thing you do is what, Nazli? Nazli, are you there? Let's look at the Clifford. The first thing you do when you finish university, what's the first thing you think of?
I think of getting a job.
Exactly. You think of getting a job because the education system has taught you to be dependent on someone else. Whereas in the thing keeps on freezing for some reason. Wonder why. Oh, see. Whereas as an entrepreneur, you are independent. You say, I'm 100% responsible for what happens to me. Or you are interdependent, you know you can work with someone else. In the left side, you got little or no creativity or critical thinking because the education system has theory. Whereas on the right-hand side, you got critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. So you got all the four C's that you use for technical development, but you also have two other C's of citizenship, where you are saying whatever I do has to have meaning to someone else, has to help someone else, and character. So everything I do, it has to be ethical.
Think we lost, just quickly see. I think Josh might have lost connectivity a bit there. So just give him a chance to reconnect, and then we can resume. Just a reminder that if you have any questions, please do post them in the Q&A, so that towards the end, we can then pose them to Joshua to then address those. So just give us a few minutes to try and see what's happening with Joshua there. Welcome back, Josh. Okay, you're gonna have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, awesome. Because we tap our network using a dish, and so if there's a slight disturbance, sometimes it goes off. But I'm back online now. You can let me go back there and reshare. So so you become ashamed of failure. Whereas in business, in entrepreneurship, failure is equivalent to success. If something doesn't work out, you just discovered one way why it doesn't work out, and you try something else. Here you become selfish because of that. You don't want to hide things from others, whereas on the other side you don't. And here we reward you with memory. On the other side, we have to creativity. Here you are cautious. On the other side, you are daring. And in the formal education system, we want those that live by the rules. Entrepreneurship doesn't require that. We want you to break the rules and create new ones. We pride people on the education system being in top of class. On the other side, we don't. So here we live in a world of scarcity, but the entrepreneurship, we live in a world of abundance. So the formal education system is okay at the base, but you need to move away from there and move to there and to the world of abundance, and that's how you succeed very quickly. And because in the world of between the two, in the world of scarcity, you say there's not enough, whereas in the world of abundance, you say there will always be more. What scarcity, you compete to be on top. On the other side, you collaborate to stay on top. You hold things from others. A word of abundance, you're generous with others. Suspicious of others. On the other side, you trust and use rapport. You are afraid of being replaced. On the other side, you survive, strive to grow. You believe that times are tough. On the other side, you believe the best is yet to come. You think that the pie is shrinking in the world of scarcity. On the other side, you say, let's make more pie. So like now, you've got very few jobs. Let's create more jobs. So on in the world of scarcity, you feel I can't afford it. In the world of abundance, you ask, how can I afford it? Because the question opens the mind and the statement closes. So you always have to ask yourself, how can I do A, B, C, D? And you find a lot of answers. But the moment you make a statement, it shuts your thinking. So again, we need to move away from here and move to the world of abundance thinking. Because with the abundance mindset, you understand the world is becoming more abundant, and this allows you to maintain a hopeful and compelling vision for the future. This positive mindset sets you apart from others and attracts the best team and partners to your mission. You don't resent missed opportunities because you understand that you are living in a world of ever-increasing opportunities. If you miss one, another one will come. You embrace the future and you're excited to learn all you can to create the future that you desire. And you view competitors as potential collaborators. Like in our case, we don't have a lot of competitors, but we've created a lot of those that would have competed with us into collaborators. And because you know that you got a lot of increasing business opportunities, you are constantly monetizing, democratizing your products and services, make them available to larger and larger customer base at lower cost. These days we share information freely, like I'm sharing with you now, because we live in a world of abundance. So as a leader, you convey a hopeful and compelling future that inspires and guides your various stakeholders. So, because you cannot go into the business world with a scarcity mindset and expect to win. You have to craft and master an abundance mindset to have guaranteed business success. And if you cannot do that, you can be the smartest person in the world, but you will never succeed if you go in the world with a scarcity mindset. So creating a world of abundance isn't about creating a world of luxury. It's about creating a world of prosperity. That's what the Peter Diamandis of XPRIZE once said. And so that's the first thing. So with this, if we look at the operations now, which I'll text you, for us, for instance, and if we look at what we have, is that though in the 7 years of our existence, we have developed the commercial businesses, business support solutions, technology, property, and agriculture. with the agriculture being straight into on people development and commercial production, our main focus still remains on creating global impact through the development of a new generation of successful young African entrepreneurs, particularly in agriculture and the food sector. So N operates in line with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and focusing on goal number 2 of zero hunger, and through our subsidiary of agriculture, African Renewers, and using a competitive selection process, we select top talent that we bring to our modern agriculture training facilities, where we expose them to the latest farming technologies and the proven best practices. We have an 8.5 hectare farm in the Syrian, which I showed you earlier on, that we developed from scratch, where we grow fresh produce. This is also where we provide formal training and development of young agripreneurs. We also have a 100 hectare farm in Epulen. This is where we grow fresh cut flowers, mainly the chrysanthemums and a little bit of Rhizianthus. Currently, we are among the 4 major suppliers of producers of chrysanthemums in the country. We have fully equipped multi-fund greenhouses covering about 7 hectares under cultivation and the pack house. The farms are operated using climate-friendly farming methods, thus the candidates are exposed to real-world best practices. The farms operate as crop centers and supply most of the farm produce to both local and overseas markets. But in terms of our focus, which is the people development, we use a 360, and so now we are expanding into food at a large content. And in terms of training, we use the 360-degree 12-month agripreneur development program. And we can take someone from the village with no knowledge in agriculture, and we can develop them into a successful agripreneur in 12 months. And so we use the system to develop them into cutting-edge agripreneurs. And during the program, N helps the candidates to gain access to land on which they would be settled once they complete the program. We also help them, the candidates, connect with suitable funders. Because as an entrepreneur, you shouldn't be dependent on someone else. You need to find your own resources, and all we do is connect you to those resources for you to get your own funding. And we connect you to suppliers of farming infrastructure and farming facilities, farming input, and the coaches and mentors, because these are going to help you to, from land preparation up to post-harvest, so that you can produce to the highest standards. And then we get you access to sorting, processing, and packaging facilities, and then access to the market. So with that, this is a 360-degree program, which means that your chances of failure are limited. We work with the several industry specialist partners in delivering the program. We are AgriCita accredited and Global Gap certified. And what we look for candidates that are passionate, hands-on, and have the right attitude for entrepreneurship in agriculture. So yesterday I was in Leparare, this was yesterday, and we have found this Excel has helped to get us these guys land. So there's about 350 hectares, and the guys now are very excited because they'll have land of their own where they can settle. And so that's one of the things that we do in terms of assisting the guys to do. We seek to build capacity and develop competitiveness aimed at achieving meaningful and long-term participation in the main food supply value chain by most of our passionate and young energetic men and women in South Africa and elsewhere on the African continent. The organization also wants to ensure that young women are put on an equal footing with young men to promote gender equality while driving transformation in agriculture. Our goal is to work with other like-minded people on the African continent and elsewhere in the world to get sub-Saharan Africa to produce and export more food than it imports by 2030, while increasing levels of employment and prosperity. Through this initiative, like end agricultural development program, if we work together as a collective, I believe we can end world hunger while increasing levels of employment and prosperity. So South Africa and the African continent has an abundance of resources. The problem is that we don't seem to know how to manage these resources for the betterment of our people. I will end with the words of wisdom from late Dr. Miles Monaghan.
We talk about managing.
Yes.
Now, in your book,
This
you
is
say
very
seven ways to manage a crisis.
Yes.
Give me just some.
Pastor Benny, first of all, I believe that the reason God created man was for management.
Really? I have never heard it put that way.
When I read the Bible, people normally think I'm reading a different Bible. Let me read what was on God's mind when he made you. And I think this will help you going through this economic crisis right now. In the book of Genesis, I'm going to show you a verse you never saw before.
Jeez. I've read and reread and reread.
Me
and
too,
reread
until
the
I
Bible.
found it. It says in Genesis chapter 2, it says, when the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, no shrub of the field had yet appeared on the earth, and no plant of the field had yet sprung up. Why? Because the Lord God had not allowed it to rain on the earth. Why? Because there was no man to manage the earth. Now, that's a verse you and I never saw.
Marvelous.
This is powerful to me. First of all, God had a beautiful planet, but he didn't allow anything to grow, nothing to spring forth, nothing to emerge, nothing to prosper, because there was no manager. Okay, a few things I learned from this. Number one, God will never allow growth where there is no management.
Wow, wow, wow.
So instead of praying for things from God, pray for the management ability. Secondly, God will withhold things from you if you cannot manage them. Notice it says,
He'll withhold things.
read it. It says he didn't allow it to rain
Yeah.
because there was no man to manage the results. So the next verse says, and therefore God formed the man from dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. In other words, God had a beautiful planet. No life was on it. Why? Because he first needed a manager. Normally we ask people, why did God create man? Our answer, to worship God. That's not what he says. He needed a manager.
I have
So
never
the number
heard
one-
that. I love that.
The number one motivation for God creating man is management. Whatever you mismanage, you will lose.
That is powerful.
That's why management is so important in this process.
Whatever you do not manage, you lose.
In other words, God will never give you what you pray for. He will only give you what you can manage. You pray for a new house, and God's looking at the apartment that's unkept. So he only gives you what you've proven you could manage. Some people get jealous of your ministry, but they don't understand the machinery behind this ministry to manage all that's necessary here. And the day you mismanage this ministry, you will lose it.
Absolutely. That's
If you
correct.
mismanage your body, you lose it. If you mismanage your marriage, you lose it. If you mismanage your children, you lose them. If you mismanage your money, it goes away. When you mismanage anything, you lose it. And so in crisis is a result of mismanagement. And the way you correct a crisis is management.
Thank you. These are my contact details if you want to contact me. It's now your show. Understand that God cannot only give you what you can manage. And if we want to end the crisis in which we are now, if we want to end the situation in which we find ourselves where about 74% of the youth are unemployed, we need to learn to manage the resources we have in order for us to create opportunities. And that's why we want you to be part of that, for us to learn to manage and create opportunities for yourselves and for others. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joshua. That was quite interesting. I think one of the things that came to my mind, though, is as you were presenting, is how that entrepreneurial mindset actually isn't built from an early age. I mean, from high school or university and so on. So, which begs the question then, does N currently infiltrate like at the high school level or university level where you start introducing the concepts of entrepreneurship to the learners? Is there anything that you're doing in that regard?
At the moment, it's something that we want to go into the future. At the moment, we start with people that have got a higher learning of education already. People at matric level so on, because we are trying to start with those that we can take into entrepreneurship space now. But going forward, like we are working with the Motlanti Foundation, they start with people at the ground level. So by working with them, we think that we can work together to introduce young people at a very young age to think entrepreneurship. One of the things that I find encouraging now is we put the Generation Z group, which the majority of you are, and the millennials. The thinking is very different. It's not like the old where they always want to work. You want to do things for yourselves, which I like. For instance, one of our entities, which is African Technology, my son was in Southeast Asia. I got him back to come and work with me so that we can deliver it. And he came and he set up African Tech Entrepreneurs. And everyone that operates in African Tech, they are all under 30. My son is the oldest, who is 29, but all the other ones are around 23 and above. But if you look at what they're able to generate, I mean, they are among the major suppliers of VR equipment in the country at the moment. And they perform better than a lot of elderly people. So that's what encourages me, is the young people that are coming in now are thinking entrepreneurship, are thinking being independent and taking ownership. So that gives me hope. But for your answer, yes, we need to start from the very, very basic, because we need to change our education system so that people can maintain the level of creativity and critical thinking, which is lacked a lot at the moment.
No, definitely agreed. As you're mentioning the Kgalema Montlante's foundation, does that mean from where you currently operate and the partnerships that you also have, you do have access to actually getting some influence within the government or institutions around the government as well? Is there support that you also get from them?
At the moment, we don't have support from government yet, but we are working with them to do that. The issue is that being in a private space, you tend to move fast. And I like moving fast. And so if you work with the people in other people in the private space, then we can do things quickly. But we also need government to assist us with certain things, particularly on the regulation and legal stuff. You need them. When it comes to resources, there are plenty of resources in the private space that we can use. But this is something that is important for everybody, including government, what we are doing right now. And we need their assistance in order for us to achieve our objectives. Because this problem we have is for everybody. We had a situation in July where you had the unrest. That was telling us that we got a situation with our young people. It means a lot of young people are on the street, because if they were working, they wouldn't be there vandalizing stuff. So if we don't take care of our youth, we are all in trouble.
Agreed. Another thing that also came to mind was when you actually identify the candidates that you would be developing in terms of entrepreneur, what is the general procedure as to from actually identifying them, taking them through the program, all the way to where now you're confident that they can actually run independently? What's the timeline like normally, but also how do you go about identifying potential candidates?
What you saw there, I mentioned that we use the competitive selection process. So when we bring all young people together, because again, what I said is we are all born geniuses. So you need to make sure that you get people that will be suitable for whatever you want to do. So we put we got a selection tool that we use. It's enough. They have to test. We got about 3 of them, and we put the selection criteria in there. So if I'm looking for agripreneurs, for instance, I'll put in the selection criteria that will be looking for agripreneurs. So I'll select only agripreneurs. And that's why people are surprised when they see our young people here. They say they are so passionate. It's because you choose only those that are passionate for what you want to do at the time. And people make the generalized statements of saying, oh, the youth shun agriculture, for instance. But using our system, we found a lot of young people that have got passion for agriculture. So we need to make sure that we select people and put them in the areas that they are suitable for, because we always have to think to ourselves is we are all geniuses, and each one of us is a genius. So you have to select your natural space, because then you are going to show your genius. If you go into someone else's space, you don't look smart, because as Einstein once said, is if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life thinking that it's stupid. But if you throw a fish in the sea or in water, it looks very smart. So you need to make sure, like if you're a fish, you stay in water and not in a tree. So let's select people in such a way that they will fit in their natural space, and that's what we do. So we have selection tools that we use. You saw some of the stuff that I was showing earlier on, including the monitoring and evaluation, the end business development process. So we have developed a lot of these tools because they are like using the visual language. Because if you use a visual language, you can translate it in any spoken language. So everything that we do, we use systems.
No, fantastic. I'm not sure if you had also indicated this, but is there a fee that is involved with regards to actually the actual program where you now take the young entrepreneurs through it?
Yeah, as you know, we are a for-profit organization. So what we do is we work with other organizations because we know that the young people may not afford. So we look at the sponsors, like that team that I was showing you now, is now being very progressive. They found that this program is something that will help a lot, and so we have been able to work with them, and so they helped with the sponsoring of the guys, as well as now they have given them land. And so while we are looking for other things for them, like markets, like funding for them and so on, you've got these other organizations that can work with you in terms of providing other facilities, because that's the only way that we can help for the young people, because a lot of them don't have the resources. If they had, they wouldn't be at home.
Okay, I actually have a question for you here. It actually reads, is there sort of like a minimum age or like a minimum level of education that's actually required to be part of the program? So essentially, what are the minimum requirements that you look into before you incubate some of the young entrepreneurs?
We look at the numeracy and literacy and your aptitude for entrepreneurship. Because like some of these guys that you saw earlier on, or whatever, some of them have got only metric, and some of them have got below metric, but they've got the aptitude and attitude for entrepreneurship, and that's all we're interested in.
Yeah. No. That's actually quite fantastic. One other thing, maybe it's more on a personal note. So moving away from mining and now going into, like an agriculture type of industry, had it always been something that captured your heart while you're working as a mining engineer during your time and period, or was it based on the needs that you saw entirely and the opportunity that you then went ahead and then seized? So was it opportunity driven or more something that you've always wanted to do?
My interest has always been people development. I'm a miner by heart, and that's my passion. Mining has always been my passion. But I had to look at the industry that it's easy for people to go into, and something that can create the highest impact. And I felt that the agriculture was the right one, because most of the rural places depend on agriculture. So if you want to create a huge impact, that was the one for me to look at. And I would have gone into anything, because as I said, as a miner, I can go into anything. When I was in mining, I was into mining, then I went into the equipment manufacturing. I used to supply handheld mining, the people range of mining equipment. I was the one that used to build them at the time when I was in mining. So when you've been in mining, you can do almost anything. You've frozen, Kondwani. Are you there? Hello, are you there? Can anyone hear me?
I believe he's frozen, Joshua, but we can hear you.
Okay. Look like we.
Sorry, yeah, I actually got disconnected there a bit. My network was unstable.
Okay.
Okay, I think I might have missed the last part there. So just want to maybe open up. We have like minutes left into the session. So open up the floor if anyone still has a question that they'd like to raise. While we actually wait for that. So I know that there's actually people that do go ahead and get qualifications in agriculture and so on. And from our discussions, it also comes across as you don't necessarily need to get that formal qualification. You can easily jump into it. So what's your take in agriculture? So before you jump into the entrepreneurship part of things.
I didn't catch that. You are breaking up.
Yes, I was wondering what your take is to actually getting formal qualification in agriculture before you jump into the entrepreneurship part of it.
It's an advantage. It gives you an advantage, because you see, like when we get people with no knowledge, we budget into two parts: activate and accelerate. The activate is the intensive 3 months where we get you to orientate you to get you to understand agriculture. If you are an agri graduate, you may not need that. So it means then you can move faster. One of the first one I put on the program, it was a graduate from that. We brought him straight into the accelerate. Now he's employing others in KZN. We've got two guys in KZN that have established successful businesses. But it was very quick for them because they are learning. So if you're a graduate, it's much easier because you've been taught the thinking process. But what you are saying is it shouldn't limit you because you don't have higher level of learning for you to. Because entrepreneurship is about your mindset, it's about your attitude, and it doesn't depend entirely on your level of education. But education just helps you to do better than anybody else that has got less education than you.
No, that's really awesome and fantastic. So yeah, that brings us to the end of our session. I'd like to thank you again, Joshua, for making time to actually come and share this information with us. I know that some of the participants asked for the presentation that you gave today, so that will be made available, as well as the recording as well. I think in terms of Joshua's details, I think you did include them in the presentation as well. Am I correct, Joshua?
Beg pardon?
Your contact details, were they included in the presentation as well?
The contact details are in the presentation, yes, at the back. What I'll do is,
yeah, so if
photos and so on, what I'll do, I'll PDF it and I'll send it to camera.
Okay, that would be fantastic. So that if any of the participants want to connect with you and continue the discussions further with you, they can easily do that. So yeah, that will bring us to the end. Any parting words from you, Joshua?
No, the future is in your hands. We are fading away now, and what I'm trying to do now is to give you the tools that you can use to take this world forward when our voices are finally being silenced. And you guys cannot do that if we don't assist you. So anyone that wants to go into the entrepreneurial space, you know that we are here to guide you, to help you, but you have to be the one that takes the lead. But don't allow your education system to hold you back. The future is in your hands, and it's bright for you right now, because we live in a world of abundance right now. And anything that was done by only big corporations, now an individual can do that. So you are in a much better position, and you are very well connected worldwide. So anything that you want, you can get. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do. But don't be dependent, be independent. Because if we all do that, then we will cut on this level of unemployment, and this country is going to be very prosperous, and the continent as well, because we have a huge abundance of resources.
No, definitely agreed. So yes, once more, thank you for making time to actually give us the presentation. And thank you to all artists as well for making time to join us today for this session, as well as the team from the SAIMM for arranging and making this possible. So everyone else, enjoy the rest of your day, and definitely stay connected to each other and keep the conversation going.
All right, thanks. Okay.
Awesome. Cheers, everyone.